Welcome to another episode of Intuition First podcast with your hosts, Heather McKay and Christine Miura. We're here to connect you to your intuition and the gifts of the universe to get more out of your life and your business. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
We're here today. I'm Christine Miura.
And I'm Heather McKay.
And we're here on Intuition First. So
this podcast was born out of many, many conversations. Christine and I met and had some great conversations and thought we would like to share that with you all about intuition and what that means and other gifts from the universe and how we can better connect ourselves and other people.
Right. So I live in California and she lives in?
I'm just west of Atlanta, East Coast girl.
That's right. So we come from two different parts of the country, but we have this love for, spirit and what that means and how it's impacted our lives and what that's done for each of us. So we just thought it would be great to have a conversation and share it with others who might be in search or in the process of awakening and wanting to get a solid foundation around what it means to be awake, to be spiritual, to be connected, in alignment, be connected to the divine. I'm sure a lot of you have heard all of these words before, but there are many times we don't actually understand. It takes a while to get on board. And so we want this to be a stepping stone so that when you're in other conversations, you actually have a point of reference. And we're wanting to share that with you. So
absolutely. I'm excited to learn more. I keep learning more all the time. I'm a lifelong learner, and so is Christine. And I think that we bring out the best in each other and we ask a lot of good questions. And I think in the process, we learn a lot. So hoping to share that with everybody else.
Yeah. So let's go. What are we doing today?
Well, probably since this is the first episode, we should probably introduce ourselves and tell a little bit more about our background. So why don't, Christine, why don't you talk about where you're from, what your background is, and how you got to be the spiritual being that you are?
All right. Well, first of all, I'm Asian. So my cellular matter comes from the Eastern world. And I'm Chinese, and I have been interested in self-awareness, that whole conversation about self-realization since I was very, very young. I've been on the path since I was 19 years old. I've had many life challenges where people have departed early from my life, meaning in death. And from those experiences of dying, I have learned so much about myself and about others, about my own level of resiliency and what suffering has created lessons in my life to be. So, yeah, I've just always been curious, and I've always find books that literally, as I was growing up, would fall into my lap and teach me something about spiritual nature. And so that's just how I ended up.
Awesome. Well, I have been on a spiritual journey for probably not nearly as long as you. I got into professional development a few years ago and started learning more about that. I've always been really fascinated by psychology, consumer behavior. So I've been in marketing for my whole career. And the human mind just fascinates me and why we do what we do. And of course, that gets into a lot of introspection. It causes you to have questions about different things. So the more you look into it, the more you find. And so I've been learning all kinds of new things and about myself, about others. And I think others can benefit from the things we learn. And Christine has taught me a lot. So we thought it'd be fun to do this. And I hope that we can teach you some more stuff you've never known before.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say that I've been in business. I've been a marketer, and I learned how to blend spiritual business to apply that in your life. So it happens a lot of times when we're in business, we're doing stuff that we may or may not like. Like it either aligns with our soul or it doesn't. And I found that it doesn't have to be either or, that when you actually take your divine nature and you know about what your service is on the planet, and then you apply it to the work that you do in the world and how you serve, you get to have this expanded life experience. Work and personal time actually start to meld into each other, and you just get to be living into and have an experience of, instead of having a work life and a personal life, it just becomes together. And so I always ask myself today when I go to bed, am I well used or used up? And how you answer that question of being well used and used up usually tells you where you are, in your life. If you're flowing and things come at ease, or if you're contracted and your days just seems terribly long and you're exhausted by the end of the day, that's really your soul speaking to you and saying, hey, we need an alignment, we need a readjustment, because that feeling of contraction and discourse and frustration and anger is the universe speaking to you that there's something else that's available to you. And are you open and willing to see what that might be? And so that's where this podcast came to light. What was that, we always think it has to be separate, that work has to be a challenge and it has to be hard and you have to suffer. And if you give any of that up, that you're not going to be able to make a living. But the truth of it is, when you're connected and you're in alignment and you're in flow, you actually get to create a great living for yourself and your family.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I never knew that or realized that until a few years ago, and that it was all intertwined together. That your inner being, how you are made in the world, has everything to do with how you show up in your family, in your business, in relationships, all of that stuff. And so when you start putting the pieces together, it really gives you some clarity about how you show up, how others show up, how to communicate better. It's just a whole new world. So we're excited to dive into all kinds of things and have some great conversations.
Yeah, I have been having the conversation about what a joyful life is, joyful living. And when people have that separation between work and personal life, it's hard to create joy as a constant frequency, because you're having to separate yourself all the time. So when you get to integrate all of that, your purpose, your service, your life, your heart gets big. You start radiating in such a way that people become attracted to you. So that's why it's important to understand what that looks like, so that you are attracting the life that you want to create and live into. Because, your life's not a dress rehearsal. Your life is your life. Exactly. And every day that goes by is one day that less you have. So when we realize, the Dalai Lama says, when you realize that none of us are getting out of here alive, it puts a certain amount of value to your living that you get every day. And I think so many of us think that we have until infinity to be able to do whatever it is. And if we really embrace what we're doing right now every day, it will just completely change how you operate and see the world.
Absolutely. Totally agree. So what are we going to do with our one and precious life? That's what we have to figure out. So we're here to hopefully be your guide and to hopefully learn some things ourselves along the way, and get started.
Yeah, we're here. We're here to be asking questions so that you may not have the answer to, but it will keep your brain curious for you to be noodling out what that answer might be. And we'll be also sharing what that feels like in your body, and how do you know that is the right answer versus is it your brain that's thinking that? Is it your ego that's creating the answer? Or is that energetically, somatically the right answer? Because it'll land in your body as such. Your body will tell you so much, whether it's good for you or not good for you. So yeah,
Right.
that stems from your intuition. So we can chat about that in our next episode.
Absolutely. Well, it's good to get this started. We're happy to get this off the ground, and we hope you will join us again on our next episode.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Until next time.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Intuition First. We're so glad that you chose to spend your time with us today. If you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them and tag us on Instagram at Intuition First. We'd love to hear what you enjoyed and what you'd like to hear more of. And until the next time, keep listening to your intuition. It really knows what it's talking about.